It doesn't make any sense on radio, but I would literally throw myself at your feet right now. That was amazing.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? We're here in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest. We just performed not too long ago, had a great time. Now we're out here on the streets, stopping random people, just getting them to pronounce this word. You may know how to say it, but a lot of people don't. They mess it up all the time. So now we're trying to see what random strangers, when they see it for the first time in completely out of context, what they would think about that word. So check it out. So, where are you guys from?
I'm from Amarillo, Texas. Texas State.
Where are you guys from?
From here, from Austin.
And what's your names?
Ashley.
Alicia.
Melinda. Angela.
Alejandro.
And Alejandra.
What?
My name is India.
And where are you from?
I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm an original Austinite.
You're from Mexico.
Yeah, we're from Mexico.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Us too. Hell yeah, that's what's up. What's your name?
Ashley.
Ashley?
This is Maggie.
Hi, I'm Maggie.
My name is BJ.
Larry Singleton, sir.
Mika. Anna.
I live up here. I've been here since like 2011. I fly our colors just about every night up in Austin, but I went to art class earlier.
Isaiah.
Sarah.
And where are you from, Sarah?
I'm from Dallas.
Jonathan.
Bree Cole.
She got to grab the microphone.
Nietzsche.
Nija, where are you from?
Jacksonville, Florida, but I live here in Austin.
All right, man. What's your name?
Blake.
Blake? Like Blake Griffin.
Blake Scott.
Okay. This dude is tall as hell.
I can jump higher than Blake Griffin.
Oh, snap. What's your name again?
Zach.
And where are you from, Zach?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. I've been there. It's an awesome place. I love it there. Great Mexican food.
Yes.
What's your favorite Mexican spot?
Eric's Tacos.
Eric's Tacos. That sounds like a little crappy hole in the wall. Is it?
It's a food truck.
All right, so what we're doing is we're trying to get people to pronounce this word. Give me your best guess.
Jutuan.
Jutan.
Jutan.
Jutaun.
Jutun.
Jutuan.
Jetawan.
Jutan.
Hutaun.
It's got the soft J.
Jutan. Juatun.
Wonton. Whoa, that's pretty good.
Jutuan.
Jutuan.
In Austin, Juhata. In fucking Boston, Jutuan.
It's different in different states.
Juton.
I'm going to say Huton.
Bhutan?
Huton. Jutuan.
Jutuan.
Watuan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hutuan.
Watuan? So it's a W. Watuan.
Jutuan.
Jutan.
Wonton.
Wonton. Okay, there's a W. You see the W.
Utah.
It's actually really close.
I know. Juan?
Huan?
Juan? Shit.
Jatan.
Yo, that was perfect.
Johnson? I don't know.
It's pretty close. It's pronounced Jatan.
I think I pronounced it cooler.
So, what do you think it means?
close cousin of the crouton.
I have no idea.
It's like live or like like be alive or something.
Hell, I don't know. Space. I mean, not space. Fun, excitement, energy.
No, you're right.
Something, something, Austin, something, something.
Something about like being equal. I don't know why.
It sounds Spanish. Maybe a Spanish clothing line.
It's like town, like tuna, and Jupiter. So like.
Are you drunk? Form of banana.
Gooch or like crusty butt? I don't fucking know.
So it's Jitan. What language do you think that is? What language would you say that probably is?
Indonesian.
Indonesian.
Either French or Portuguese.
Probably Irish, since it's Irish.
Irish. Canada.
Asian.
The Asian language.
South America? No. South America? South Africa. South America? Yes. South Africa.
Okay.
Japanese.
Japanese. How come?
Because it starts with a J.
I'm going to say South America.
South American? Language of South American. Okay.
Arabic, Farsi, Hebrew.
That's the first time we heard that. But you kind of like combined three totally separate languages: Arabic, Farsi, and Hebrew.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with her. She's like, I don't know.
She's super smart, so.
She's from Panama, so I feel like she's.
Oh, okay. Because people from Panama. Okay,
Like, she knows all the ethnicities.
got it.
Indian.
Indian.
Brazilian.
Brazilian. But even though Indian, isn't there a bunch of different languages that they speak? Like.
Maybe like French or something.
French?
French, definitely, right?
I'm gonna go with French.
Go with French. Okay, cool.
Korean.
I mean, it would seem like it would be like Thai or something. Maybe some type of Thai, or maybe.
I think you're just saying that because you see an Asian guy right here.
I mean, but Thai, Asian people usually think Chinese or something like that.
I'm a Christian guy. I did not see the Korean guy after the thing.
He's actually Cambodian, but it's all good. He said same thing.
I promise you, they both make shrimp fried rice.
What's actually a made-up word? It's the name of our band.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know. What is it?
It's actually the name of our band.
Cool. I can dig it. I like it.
So what if I told you that is actually a band that's playing out here at South by? You like that?
So now that you know that, what kind of music do you think we would make?
I want to say electronic with a little bit of rap.
Like alternative.
Shoegaze.
Shoegaze.
Maybe some world music mixed with rock. Rock metal.
Indie. Isn't indie like a thing?
Like rock or indie.
I'm like, oh, I'm so sad, and I'm looking at my shoes, and there's all this noise. Yeah.
Something in Spanish? Are you guys a Spanish band?
Southern poppy punk rock type thing. Because of him, punk rock.
Wait a minute. This guy got all the racist comments.
Oh, it's kind of hard to, by looking at y'all, kind of like some pretty boy music, but I mean, I could be wrong. So.
Looking at you, you're both very white. No, now I'm saying things that I want to say. No.
I don't know, like reggae rock.
Sounds like a funk band. I hope it's a funk band. I don't know. I like that heavy bass.
House.
Are you
House
saying
music.
white people do a specific kind of music?
No, don't. House music.
House music.
Reggae.
Reggae. Another reggae. You listen to reggae music?
I love some of it.
Cool. What kind of music do you listen to mostly?
I love the upbeat music. One of them, my favorite is all the little kids with their bumped up kicks.
What would you say your main core music that you like is?
Nerdcore.
More like neo soul.
I like to listen to beats when I listen to music.
You like Rihanna?
Yep. Cheers. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
People talk a lot of stuff about me, but I don't care what they say.
Listen, you like what you like, and you listen to what you listen to. That's perfect, because I think you would really like our music. So when you get a chance, this is our band. When you get a chance, check out our music.
Okay.
Cool.
Listen to our music.
Okay, I sure will.
Thank you
No
for
problem.
being in
Anytime.
It's definitely not salsa.
Definitely not salsa.
Check us out and hit us up and let us know what you think about your time.
Oh man, I bet I'll love it.
Fuck yeah, I'll check you guys out.
Okay, right on, right on. I'm definitely gonna check you guys out because I'm a musician myself.
No problem, anytime. Keep Austin weird. Y'all the first people that actually approached me like, hey, look at our music. Everybody else is giving me flyers, so.
See, we try to do things differently.
See y'all, good work.
Thank you.
This is a cool way to let people know about your band.
Thank you very much. So look, we have these for you guys. When you get a chance, all our info is on the back. And check out the kind of music we do, and then you will know us, and you can say you met us out here at South by, and you answer some questions for us. All right?
That's so cool.
Nice meeting you guys. Thank you very much.
What's up, people?
Is the guitar unmuted?
What's up, people? It was gone. Yeah, it was gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So I walked through the mountains and across the open field, where I heard there was a fountain. All the people go get healed, but it was gone. It was gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So I'm on my way to the only place I've ever known. By the river, by the river, by the river. Can take me away from a life I feel I'm long outgrown. By the river, by the river. And it's gonna take me away. Gonna take me away. I'll be gone. By the river, by the river, by the river. It's gonna take me away to a far, take me away. I belong. By the river, by the river, by the river. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, I came across a gypsy who led me to a well. When I drank her water, I fell under her spell, and I was gone, yeah, so gone. So I went to see a wise man who lives underneath the bridge, 'cause I heard that he could free me from what the gypsy did, but he was gone. Yeah, when I got there, he was gone. So I'm on my way to the only place I know for sure. By the river, that can help me escape through the waters that run pure. By the river, and it's gonna take me away. Gonna take me away. Yeah, I'll be gone. By the river, by the river, by the river. And it's gonna take me away to a far better place I belong. By the river, by Oh, hey, hey, hey. By the river. By the river. Hey. Whoa, whoa. Mm-hmm. Whoa, whoa. Mm-hmm. Whoa, whoa. Mm-hmm. Whoa, whoa. Well, I know I made mistakes, but I'm gonna be okay. Finally on my way to a better place. Whoa, by the river. Hey, hey, hey. I'll be okay. I can find my way by the river, by the river, by the river. I'll be okay if I can find my way by the river, by the river. Hey, hey. What's up, everybody? We wanted to start with that one this evening because it's very relevant to what we're about to talk about. You're watching Young Lion TV. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
All right, we are live. It's Tuesday night. Just started off with a little bit of a song. We're gonna get into some serious discussion this evening. Talking about tonight's episode is episode number 80. We're at our 80th episode, y'all.
That's the pay.
That's the
pay
pay
in Hebrew, the mouth.
Right. What else?
Cool.
Keep it coming. What? Give me 80. Break it down for them. 8.
What?
8 and 0. 8 is the number of new beginnings.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
8 is the number of new beginnings.
Right.
Out of the mouth
Right.
comes the rock, brings you to a new beginning.
Right.
All that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Rivers flow out of the mouth.
Mm.
We're talking about by the river.
That's what I'm saying. Break it down for them. And number
Preach.
80 is relevant. And also we're going to be talking about
And
what?
It's the year of, well, we just went by the year of 5780. Now it's 5781. So this is the decade of the mouth, which is another interesting thing.
The mouth of the river. We were just talking about Plymouth Rock. Plymouth means the river, the mouth of the river, right?
Right. Well, Plym
Plym is the river.
is
right.
Precious mouth. Well, Plym, precious. Plymouth comes from Plym River, at the mouth of the Plym River.
Right.
So
and it's 400 years.
So Plymouth Rock is the pilgrims coming from Plymouth to
Right.
Plymouth Rock, and that's 400 years in on December 18th.
Right.
They landed on November 11th.
Okay.
So 11/11 this year will be 400 years.
You know what I mean? Synchronicity, man, is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's a lot of good stuff.
But shout out to everybody who's watching right now. I see Adam Fields. He said, "This is fire." Emma said, "Hey, guys, much love." Mom's watching. Jennifer Hansen said, "Very nice." Angela Hickman said, "Hey, guys, what's up, everybody? If you are watching right now, we appreciate every single one of you. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, please hit that share button and let's get this algorithm working in our favor a little bit. We seem like we've been getting suppressed lately, so hit the share button."
Talk about too much.
Yeah, hitting them with too much truth out here in these streets. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the notification bell and all that good stuff. Also, don't be afraid to put anything in here that you want to bring up if we're talking about stuff. This episode is conservatism versus progressivism, and also the illusion.
You just said it wrong. Conservatism.
That's what I said.
Conservatism. It sounded like you said conservatism.
No, conservatism versus progressivism, and the illusion of activism, which we're going to go into how a lot of these corporations that set themselves up as an activist organization are actually funded by people that are trying to do the opposite of activism.
What makes a word wrong, though, huh? Who determines that?
Who determines if a word is wrong or not? I mean, I think it's all about this is
the English.
That sounds right to me.
English is, it's a made up language anyway. Yeah. It's based off of other languages, so
that's a whole nother story we could go into with Francis Bacon and who really was William Shakespeare. And like, did you ever look into that? Like William Shakespeare?
I've heard you guys talking about it before.
Have you ever heard about this?
No, what?
So the guy who they claim was William Shakespeare was widely known to be pretty much illiterate. Like he couldn't even barely sign his own name.
Oh.
So there was a guy.
So he had a ghostwriter?
Right. No, literally, like there was a guy, Sir Francis Bacon, who was like a noble in England at the time. I think this was, what was this, the 1500s or so, when William Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to. England at the time didn't have like a known like respected language. It had like a bunch of sects and tribes that spoke these other languages, and it didn't have like a the king's language.
Yeah, I think it was late 1500s, early 1600s.
Okay,
Jake would know because
Jake's better at them dates than
me. It was like right around King James.
Yeah,
right, a little bit before that.
I heard the rumor about King James.
No, that ties into all of this.
Oh, okay.
So like Francis Bacon decided that he was going to put a council of these linguists together, and they were going to create all of these they were going to create a language, the English language, basically based off of plays and books and these things that they published to create a new language that everyone could read and then absorb, and then it could become the King's language, which is what we know of as like the Old Testament language. Like when you read Shakespeare, it sounds a lot like
you mean King James.
King James, right? Not the Old Testament. King James.
Old Testament language was Hebrew.
That was Hebrew. No, it's old. That old stuff, old timey language. But you know how when you read Shakespeare, it reads a lot like the King James Bible, where you're like thou, thus, and So all of that is connected back to Sir Francis Bacon, and a lot of people believe that he was the actual author behind the Shakespearean plays, because of even like the content. He was a lawyer, and he spent a lot of time in the courts, and a lot of the content, especially in like Macbeth and a lot of these plays, is based around legal jargon that like someone who didn't know the court system wouldn't know. You know what I mean? So a lot of people believe that he's the one that really authored those things, and William Shakespeare was just like, he was the face that they put out there so that to keep the heat off of what they were doing, because they were all like in these secret societies. They were known Freemasons. They were Sir Francis Bacon was actually a lot of people believe that he had this idea of a new Atlantis, that he wanted America to become that new Atlantis, that they were going to send people here to set up this new idea of a utopian society or whatever.
All right.
But the English language, and back with what you were saying, the King James Bible, the fact that my name is directly connected to that, because James is not even the name in Hebrew, but he wanted to have his name inserted into the Bible. So he took one of the names, which was Jacob, which is his name, and he just swapped it out for his. I want to be in this Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
funny.
And it's interesting because we were just talking about the Puritans, and
yeah,
so all that, they played a role because of the church, and they were kicked out, and they were in Holland for a while, and then they went to. They were granted permission to come to America.
Right.
But yeah, so even in that's like all around the same area. I think they even had a part in like the, what's it called? The 16, was it 1611? King James Bible? 16 something.
16.
I can't think of it right now. But
when it was
Rachel's
put out?
Looking it up right now.
No, because the 16 whatever, I can't think of the actual date, was actually, there was a lot of the... 1611. There you go. That's
that dude is a historian.
Good with them dates,
so
man.
That's another 400-year mark, right?
Right.
And there was actually
we hit that 8-9 years ago.
There was actually some. Yeah, thinking. Yeah, 1611. So there was actually some apocrypha
right
books in there
in that version.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Right. What'd you say?
What's that mean?
Apocrypha.
They're basically the unaccepted books.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
which
ones
were
that
accepted back then.
Right.
Like
So they're like the forbidden books.
You can look it up. Like they'll show you even on like what's it called? Wikipedia. I think they show you.
Right.
Yeah,
But
like
Maccabees,
Enoch, right?
Maccabees, Gospel of Philip,
Wisdom of Solomon.
Wisdom of Solomon.
Not Gospel. No, not that.
Those are
it's Old Testament.
The Gospels are.
Those Gospels are not.
Those are agnostic books, right?
No, they're Gnostic.
I mean, Gnostic.
Yeah,
agnostic. Gnostic books.
Yes. They're Gnostic. They're not.
Right.
They're the Gnostics are basically the flesh is evil, and do away with all the flesh type thing.
Right.
Which isn't a basis.
I was going to tell a funny story.
Paul on Young Line TV said 80 is Grady. He said, "What's up, guys? 80 is Grady."
What's up?
80 is Grady. I like that.
So to answer Moon's question, though, which I originally looked up, Google says to decide which words to include in the dictionary. So there's already, like, linguists have rules in place for English words and how, if you have a new one, how things would be pronounced.
Yeah.
But to decide which words are included in, like, Merriam-Webster, their editors study the language as it's used, and they carefully monitor which words people use most often and how they use them.
Right.
So the people, but also Merriam-Webster.
Right,
You know?
and that's the veiled hierarchy behind it, or like the control behind it. Because I remember during these hearings for Amy Coney Barrett, when they asked her about same-sex marriage, and she said something about sexual preference, right?
Preference.
Which is something that people have shown that even like the gay and lesbian, the LGBTQ, like a lot of them use that term.
Mm-hmm.
But because she used it and they wanted to attack her
Yeah.
for saying sexual preference as something offensive, the next day Merriam-Webster added that to the definition
Yeah, I saw that.
of preference.
I saw that.
So they can do stuff like that as well, is where it's like they can control the ideas up behind language or the meanings of words, which we're finding out more and more.
And that's kind of what we're going to get into.
That's what we're getting into.
And it
Right?
changes all the time. Like, how the heck do you keep up with this stuff?
You can't.
You know what I mean?
You can't. You can't. There's no way. That's why
you have to be grounded in the word.
Right.
Grounded.
And you have to look at roots, which is what we're going to get into.
Yeah.
Because progressivism, the root word progress, you wanted to bring this up.
And that's what's cool about like a lot of even in English, like a lot of it can go back to the Greek,
right,
or the Latin. A lot of times you can find the origins of these things.
It's weird how like some words are connected to Greek and some words are connected to Latin in the English language.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they got to pick and choose.
They got to pick and choose.
So what about German? What root is that?
Some of the English words come from the German language.
Noe's learning, numbers in German right now, and I see like similarities in like what is eins, zwei is 2, drei is 3, and vier is 4. I can't remember but it's pretty similar.
Yeah,
like
right.
It sounds like,
because they've all been like, if you look at like the Roman, first of all, Greek language was all throughout the world,
right? Because at one point they controlled everything,
right? And then Latin also because of the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So it influenced languages in Europe,
right?
Most of all.
And so it would make sense that both of those, when they were developing the English language through these writings and this literature, that they would incorporate both of those, because those were the two most well-known languages in the area. So they incorporated both of those into what became the English language. And that's one of the reasons why, like, a lot of people who know multiple languages, 8, 9 languages, they say that English is one of the hardest to grasp, because there's a lot of weird stuff about it. We talk about it all the time.
A lot of I mean, just teaching our kids, like the rules apply here, but it doesn't apply here.
Right. I'm looking at your shirt and it's a prime example. Star Wars. Why isn't it Star Wars?
Right? Star Wars.
Star Wars. It should be Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
We need a camera on Race because she is cracking up.
Because it's
right
true.
Now.
It's like there's so many things that you just have to memorize in the English language, like the word done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word done, when you think about how that's spelled, and then
D-U-N.
But then
It's
ton,
not D-U-N.
ton,
Yeah.
T-O-N.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
or just a plural of, of things.
Of
like
goose.
mice.
Moose.
It's not mouses.
Yeah. Right. Goose is geese, but moose isn't meese.
Exactly.
Right.
And then there's some.
I don't want to get too deep
I
into
know.
this.
We could go on. We can go on with that forever.
We're gonna go on.
But let's get into. Let's start with. You wanted to talk about this idea of, because it's clearly becoming two factions or a binary that's being set up to control people. There's conservative and progressive.
Yeah, you can call it left, right.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be more like liberal, but that's not even. That's kind of going away the way they're doing it.
No, liberals don't exist.
Liberals
anymore.
are kind of conservatives now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
actually, a lot of liberals are being lumped in with the conservative.
Yeah, but talk about it. Just because I don't believe like one thing is right or the other. It's just about how you. Of course, you can take something, just like you can use something and say, I'm bringing this meaning to it, and it actually perverts the origin of something. That's what gets people more disconnected from reality.
Right.
When you pervert words and the meanings of things. So yeah, that's what it's. We're kind of going to talk about. There were a few articles I put in there that it's really just about how. Well, those articles are just talking about a lot of these very leftist activist groups that have been formed over the last, I'll say, 20 years.
All right, so we could pull this up and you can see.
One was from Soros, and that's just like, I think it was like almost 200.
Oh yeah, like
organizations that he funded. That one is just Soros, and then there's another one I put up.
This is the complete list of organizations funded by George Soros, and I think there's even more now.
Yeah, that's old.
But you can see how many organizations this guy, who's from Ukraine, right? Ain't he from Ukraine?
I thought he was originally from Germany.
Was he from Germany?
I thought he was, yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, because they were talking about how he turned in his own people.
Maybe he did Maybe he did something to Ukraine. Yeah, that's what it was. He part of one of the countries that he used his money to basically dismantle was Ukraine.
Right.
And I know he did it to England as well. But
so yeah, this is just showing like
stock markets.
How many of these organizations
there's
are funded.
As of 2019, when this was published, there was literally 199 organizations, and it's all of these like Act USA, MoveOn.org, like
all these organizations. You can't tell what they are, right?
But they use language. The name of them is always this wizard spell of language,
patriotic,
to make you feel like, oh, that's something I can get on board with. I'll donate to that.
Bring America together.
What's the squads organization? Don't he fund them? What are they called?
Which one?
The one where they
the one that brought them, one that got them elected, Justice Democrats. Right, Justice Democrats.
Are they on the list?
Let's check. Let's see if Justice Democrats are on there.
I know that's a long list, but
yeah, but I think it's in alphabetical order.
I don't think he's officially like linked to that one. To be honest with you, I think I remember watching something where it was like you had to go through a bunch of people to find him.
Okay.
So that's another thing. A lot of these he's not even officially linked to.
Right.
Because there was another link that I put up that just speaks about a bunch of leftists.
This one right here. So the top 10 leftist groups wreaking havoc across the U.S., sabotaging Trump.
Right. So I'm trying to find this real quick.
But look at the names of these groups when we get into it. So it's like Workers' World Party.
Yeah, something that I took out of it real quick, I wanted to read. Much of the funding for the anti-Trump organizations and protest groups in the Trump resistance movement comes from third-party leftist grant-making organizations. This arrangement allows donors to contribute large sums of money while remaining completely anonymous. Huge amount of cash, no fingerprints, no money trail. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these people, they're doing it, the way they've set it up. And this happened back in I think late 1990s, early 2000s, where they changed the laws where it would give them some leeway to do this, they're doing now.
Because they're called super PACs, right?
Right. And this started back in
because there's a limit on how much you can donate to somebody. I think it's $2,000 is the most you can give to a candidate. Right. So they found a way through it with these super PACs to donate basically launder money to these people.
Right. And they're going through the organizations, but they go back to wherever they want them to go back to.
Prime example. So I was telling you guys about an ad that I saw that LeBron James was being touted as the face of, where it's again, there's this huge movement going on. We talked about it last week about ADOS and a lot of people like Ice Cube, and a lot of people are coming out and speaking all right, we can't just be voting one way from here on out. We need to really find out what's going on. We need to get something for our vote. We need to figure out what's going on in the black community and make these candidates offer us something. Because they always get away with just coming for our vote and never offering us anything. So after Ice Cube did that and this ADOS movement that's been blowing up on Twitter, there's been a lot of they've been grabbing all the black celebrities they can find to try to discredit this whole thing and talk about Russian bots. I mean, everybody on MSNBC is the whole ADOS thing is Russian bots. This is the move that they make now is anything they don't want to become mainstream consciousness is Russia. It's Russia's doing this. And don't believe it because it's from Russia. You know what I mean?
And it's all because it's gonna take people away from their stream.
Right. Which is the mainstream consciousness. Mm-hmm. This is something that term mainstream is something that comes from Edward Bernays, which we talked about last week as well. That idea, because they believe that there's different streams of consciousness. The mainstream one is the one that most people fall into.
Right.
So they want to keep that. They want to keep control of that.
And when you think about it, I mean, you can bring all things back to the Bible.
Right.
When we talk about rivers being going dry, it's about a flow stopping.
Right.
So what do they want to do? Sometimes they want to dam something so it goes somewhere else. They want to bring it somewhere else, the place that they want it to go. But you look at all the cities are sources of streams, like New York. They got Wall Street, but even people go to New York to become successful. That's a source, like a water source type thing. LA, different places in the world that are streams that people tap into. But now you have social media, which has become a whole different thing online. It's another stream. You even think about we're streaming right now.
We're streaming right now. So let me show y'all this clip real quick just to kind of get into what I meant by this.
Ignore those black media folks, all those angry black folks online.
Tap into, but now you have social media, which has become a whole different thing online.
Come on,
I hear it.
All right, you can take that down, Judge. All right, here we go.
People, just ignore them.
This year we're playing to win. 3 things to know. 1, sometimes good people have bad information.
That wild meme your uncle sent you with a conspiracy about COVID and mail-in voting, it might be from Moscow. No joke.
What you can do, fact check the family chat, but do it with finesse.
2, you don't need a ref to see that not everyone is playing fair out here.
That Twitter beef about Biden's Democratic plantation by Spicy Black King 411,
it might not be real. You could be talking to a bot or a paid troll. What you can do.
Ignore the internet gangsters. Only fight with your teammates.
3, register, then vote. Early if you can. Let's go. Stay focused, stay winning.
Under review, a partnership with More Than a Vote and Win Black.
Okay, now I'm gonna pause it right there. So then the person on NBC, because this is all broadcast on there, goes into saying how LeBron James came up with this video, and we should all listen to him because he's a celebrity. You know what I mean? And you hear the rhetoric in the commercial. Do you hear? Did you catch that? Like what they're doing? It's like, oh, if you hear anyone talking about this, then it could be a Russian bot. And don't believe it, and monitor your family's chat and make sure you chime in. And it was
Let's
like
put some hip hop music.
Put some hip hop music and some basketball imagery and language
and
behind
winning,
it.
Winning is LeBron James.
Slightly better than the rap.
The rap battle, right? They used the voices was Desus and Mero. I don't know if you know who those two guys are.
Yeah.
They were huge YouTubers at one point.
Those
dudes from New York that always talk shit on everything. And then they have a show on Showtime now.
It's on Showtime now.
I think so, yeah. But anyway, so then if you look at this right here. So the organizations that are backing this is, what is that? More Than Vote and Win Black. So I have here, let's go here. So I have here.
Jamie did some investigative.
I just wanted to see because like this is the thing. Like you watch that commercial and you're like, oh, this is brought to you by Win Black, and you hear Win Black, like, yeah, I'm black, I want to win.
Let's search Win Black.
Let me go there. You go to their website and you're like, it's this whole thing, this whole write up about our voters matter, know your state election, who are we? You know, it's about for black people, right? And you're thinking like, yeah, this is about getting something for black people. No matter who's in office, we should be able to get something. But when you click on donate, it's funny because it takes you right to actblue.com. Mm-hmm. We all know
what is
from the past because we talked about this when the Black Lives Matter donations go to actblue.com. Actblue.com is a super PAC for the Democratic Party.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're literally tricking black people into donating money to the Democrats. Mm-hmm. Even if you think this has nothing to do with the Democrats. Right. They're tricking you into doing it, and they're saying like, because what Act Blue can do is Act Blue can take all these funds in, and then they can divvy up who gets what.
Because there's really not a Democratic Party.
Exactly.
There's really not a Republican Party the way the rules are now.
Right.
You know?
And there's organizations for the Republicans that do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I'm pointing this one out because it's blatantly using the idea of black people's plight.
Right. Did you put up the video for the Lincoln Project?
No, but I'll grab that.
So yeah, this.
Actually, I got it here.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, it's called the Lincoln Project, but it has nothing to do with Abraham Lincoln. It's Republicans basically bashing Trump. And they're trying to. They're using fear tactics to do it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So what it is after Trump got elected, there was a bunch of people in the Republican Party that were like the establishment, cronies that knew that like this guy is he's not gonna keep the ball moving the way we had it moving.
Right.
So they're like, we got to get him out of here because, so
these are the whole never Trumper Republicans.
Movement. So it's veiled under the idea like we'll never support this racist. You know what I mean? But it's really about them protecting their interests that they've built up with all these corporations, all of the donations that they've taken that they are supposed to like pay back on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they can't do it.
There's a lot of elite-driven things going on, and I hate when you say elite, it just. Oh, conspiracy. But there is some truth to it.
Okay, let me see if I can find where I put this.
It's funny because one of the guys who was like the founder of it, he was the campaign manager for McCain, for Arnold Schwarzenegger, for Bush.
Yeah.
And that's like, these people are like the established Republicans that don't want to have nothing to do with Trump.
All right. Let's bring this up. So this is the ad that the Lincoln Project just put out recently. It's so full of wizardry.
Hey, honey. You asked me to wake you and tell you what happened in the election.
Who won?
Trump. Trump won.
But I thought you could only be president 2 times.
Not anymore. Stop him. Or it will never stop. Like, dude, straight up wizardry, bro. And they don't realize, like, if you go to their website and you donate to the Lincoln Project, you're literally donating to fund these corporate interests. You're putting money in the pockets.
First of all, that kid looked like he's 9.
Right. He definitely didn't tell his mom to wake him
he
up.
Don't care.
Yeah.
We're laughing just because of how, outrageous it
How
is.
blatant
but
it is, man.
That's their point. Like, they don't care if, as long as they get a few people, they're like, oh my gosh.
We got to stop this.
Yeah, that's what they care about.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that do really believe that. They really think that he's never leaving office.
Yeah. And this is what, like, this new agenda, like this new way of thinking is trying to do. They don't care about what your whole overarching views are. They just want to get you in a certain area.
Right.
Like, what do you care about? Okay, we're going to make something for that. But it's all going to stream back to the thing that they want to get done.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, did y'all hear? We'll get back on it, but I just came to my mind. Did y'all hear about the World Economic Forum and how they just announced their plan for some great reset?
I did see something about that. I didn't click on it.
That is crazy. See if you can find.
that.
Go to the World Economic Forum's website, and there's something on there about the Great Reset, where they're literally talking about using this pandemic and the crisis that's going on to reset the world economy using cryptocurrency. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's very dark and weird. You know, and I think a lot of people just like will
they're
blindly
just blatant
accept
with it right now.
Yeah, like they're using it. They know, like if they can use this fear to get people to. It's engineered consent again. Engineered consent, the old Edward Bernays tactic. But
I'm pretty sure there was people in what was it 1930s that they thought it was weird when they were taking people's gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna give you this paper.
But what did they do? They made it seem like it's more convenient for you. Why you want all that gold? Like someone could steal it. It's heavy. It's hard to break up. You got to take it somewhere and get it. Exchange it for commerce and stuff like that. Just come and get these paper notes that we'll give you. These IOUs.
Yeah.
These magic rectangles that we say are worth something. But yeah, Jake, you want to continue on with what you were saying?
Yeah. So I wanted to break down like a little bit about what conservatism is, what progressivism is. I don't know. You want to pull that up? Whatever you want to do first. Progressivism. That's a little more in depth. So here's the dashboard for the.
Everything's framed really well, but here's the links, and you can download the PDF and read the reports. And there's multiple different articles about the jobs reset summer. So a resetting of jobs, economy. I'm sure they're not going to put cryptocurrency on the front page, but it's all kind of okay, this looks nice. Looks nice, but.
Yeah.
And I know they want to get ahead of it because the way even the cryptocurrency is going, it's cutting the middleman out the way. So they're trying to get ahead of it so they can keep themselves in the way.
Right.
But yeah. So progressivism. What is progressivism, Jamie?
Hold on. I just found something right here.
Okay.
Check this. This is it right here. So
the Great Reset. Okay.
So this is on their website, weforum.org. And this is the page, The Great Reset. It says there is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. To improve the state of the World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. And then if you go through this, if you read the article, that's when it basically breaks it all down. But yeah, if anybody wants to check that out, it is weforum.org great-reset / great-reset, and you can find that page. But yeah, so here is there it is. Boom, progressivism. This is from Wikipedia right here, right?
Yeah.
Screen grab this.
Can you read it a little closer to me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Progressivism is a political philosophy in support of social reform based on the idea of progress in which advancements in science, technology, economic development, and social organization are vital to the improvement of the human condition. Progressivism became highly significant during the Age of Enlightenment, which you can see that Jay clicked on that because that is significant, the Age of Enlightenment, in Europe, out of the belief that Europe was demonstrating that societies could progress in civility from uncivilized conditions to civilization through strengthening the basis of empirical knowledge as the foundation of society. Figures of the Enlightenment believed that progress had universal application to all societies and that these ideas would spread across the world from Europe. Now, this goes back to what I was saying about Francis Bacon, because he honestly believed that the United States was going to be the place where that was established.
Right. Which didn't happen.
Right.
Utopian society.
Yeah. And a lot of those people, a lot of people say that the Mayflower, not the Mayflower, the Nina Pinta, Santa Maria, those were funded by big bankers in Europe at the time. They wanted Columbus to come here and do what he did.
Yeah, so...
I thought it was a queen. The cartoon told me it was the queen.
But who do you think the queen was back? Who do you think was backing the queen?
You know that they just... when that happened, they just won the war against the Moors and just kicked the Moors out of Spain.
Wow, so that's significant.
Yeah, it was a whole there was a whole transformation in Spain at that time.
Yeah,
but anyway.
But
no. So Enlightenment, the Age of Enlightenment, is important because this is where these ideas started to form, and if you look in this, it says. From uncivilized conditions to civilization through strengthening in the basis of empirical knowledge as the foundation of society. So then what is empirical knowledge? Right. And I think I put that in there. Did I? Is that the next one or maybe I didn't?
Let me check.
Empirical.
So I'll read it. Empirical knowledge or empirical evidence is the information received by means of the senses, particularly observation and documentation of patterns and behaviors through experimentation. So it sounds like science, right? The term comes from the Greek word experience, which is empiria. So it's about what we experience through our senses, right? And this is so it's like all their knowledge is based off of experience. It's not based off of the past. It's not based off of what people have done in the past. It's all about how you experience things, right? And you base your ideas off of that. You see where the problem is, because everybody can perceive an experience in a different way. Right. So that's like the basis of their society that they want to create that can actually turn in a different way, because
you see a lot of that taking hold now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure it has before. Like if we were alive during the Renaissance, you know what I mean? I'm sure there was a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
You know.
But yeah, it's bad now. So yeah, you can go to the next one.
Okay. All right, so this is the Age of Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason, or simply the Enlightenment.
So you think about the Age of Enlightenment or the Age of Reason. So it's about reasoning things out through our experiences.
It was an intellectual and philosophical movement that dominated the world of ideas in Europe during the 17th and 18th centuries. Let's take a look at that picture. See what that. Ooh, look at all them wigs. Okay, go ahead.
Go to the next one.
Reading Voltaire's tragedy of the Orphan of China in the Salon. Okay, next one.
Voltaire was a huge philosopher at that time.
Philosophers and scientists of the period widely circulated their ideas through meetings at scientific academies, Masonic lodges, literary salons, coffee houses, and printed books, journals, and pamphlets. The ideas of the Enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarchy and the Catholic Church and paved the way for the political revolutions of the 18th and 19th century. A variety of the 19th century movements include liberalism and neoclassicism. Trace their intellectual heritage to the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment included a range of ideas centered on the sovereignty of reason and the evidence of the senses.
So now the evidence of the senses is also the same exact thing where it's what we talked about before, which is it's called I think they call it like ereticism or let me see. I think I wrote it down here. Empiricism, which is the same word that has to do with experiencing through senses. Right. So yeah, I just thought that was as a primary source of knowledge. So you look where it says it undermined the authority of the Catholic Church.
Right.
So this was a lot of Europe, and this wasn't all of Europe, but it was a lot of Europe, especially in France. Mm-hmm. France, it was probably the worst in France,
right,
or the best in France, however you view it.
Right.
But yeah, this stemmed like the Revolutionary War in France.
Right. And it was believed that Ben Franklin was going there a lot during that time to meet with them, and like a lot of his influence came from that.
Yeah, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson too.
Yeah. But Ben Franklin was going there in that Hell's Fire Club, doing the orgies and stuff. Yeah. A lot of people don't know about that. He was a member of the Hell's Fire Club.
He was going to England too.
Yeah, he had a house in England that they found the bones of like 2,000 people.
Right. But
you gotta fact check you, Jamie.
Fact check him. Fact check me.
But it was about taking power away from the Catholic Church,
right?
The hold, which wasn't a good thing anyway.
Right.
And you already had like the Reformation, which had to do with everybody knows about Martin Luther,
yeah,
and what happened in Europe, but that wasn't everywhere in Europe,
right?
So there was that, but this stems from that Enlightenment age, progressivism. That's really what I wanted to show.
And the liberal arts were used during that time to advance those ideas to the public in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like that's where the Da Vinci Code comes from, and like all of these subliminal messages in paintings and in plays and in writings, books, novels, stuff like that.
And like you see how it said like that it was these ideas were thrown around in scientific academies, Masonic lodges, literary salons, coffee cafes. So these Masonic lodges, that has a lot to do with it.
And all of it actually stems from the teachings and philosophies of like Plato and Socrates, and even back to the ancient mystery schools in Egypt.
Right.
That's why they honor those things so much in their
because it's all about
imagery.
Philosophy, right? Philosophy stems from the Greeks,
right?
So, but when you think about what do they do in philosophy, they sit around and think on things,
right?
And they try to work it out, right? But where is your foundation?
Right.
Like there's no foundation for what you're working out.
It's just experience. Is your own foundation.
It's your experience.
Yeah.
And there was something that I saw with the Joe Rogan clip that you sent me with Kanye West, and he said something like, before I was in a place of where I didn't understand. I forget the words he used exactly, but I know he said that too much knowledge, it's like a black hole. It's a black hole of knowledge, something to that. But it made me, I was thinking about, and that's the way I see it. Like when you're you don't know how to order knowledge. You sense all these things around you, and you're trying to interpret it the way you feel just. And that is a lack of discipline, a lack of respect, a lack of honor.
Right.
And you're just going and just grabbing stuff from and trying to make it make sense. It's naive, you know.
It's arrogant in a lot of ways.
It's arrogant, but so there's no. You're like a child, you know, and a child if you listen to you got kids, we got kids. Right. If you listen to your kids talk, they come up with a lot of strange ideas,
and they think they got it figured out sometimes. Yeah.
And then, he said that too. He was arrogant, Kanye.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, what's that?
There's your fact check, Moon. And it's not easy to find these specific pictures. Like PBS covered this, but you can't find all the gory pictures.
Yeah.
And so you start like looking.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the truth about Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely propped up as like this father of America, and like he did. I mean, I'm sure he had a lot of great ideas and the idea of liberty and revolution, but a lot of that was tied to his ideas. He was like the head.
He was an occultist.
He was an occultist, and he was the head of the entire North American Freemasonry. Like he was the leader of that out here, and then he would go to Europe all the time. He had that place in England. And the funny thing about, they found, how many bones did it say?
1,200 pieces of human bones, over a dozen bodies, 6 of which belong to children and have been dated back to Franklin's day.
Yeah.
Right. And not only that.
And they made excuses. What was the excuse that they
The excuse that they used was that he probably was grave robbing for scientific purposes. Yeah. That's the excuse that they use.
Secret experiments.
Yeah. But the funny thing about those 1,200 bones that they found, it's only from like a 3x3 section of his basement that they were allowed to dig up, because the rest of it was deemed like, you know, historic. So they would only let them dig up like a 3x3 area. And that's how many bones they found. Imagine if it was the whole basement, you know what I mean? And then people talk about where the Hellfire Club was located. They used to meet in like this underground cave all the time, and the stuff that was going on there, nobody knows. But they were known Satanists, known occultists, you know.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying.
So yeah, but that you can. So there was a mixture in there. You know, when you think about like what the devil wants to do, he wants to get you thinking, but he wants to get you thinking on the wrong things.
Right.
Why? Because he wants you confused. You know, so if you look, like somebody can accomplish something in their life and they feel like they've based the foundation because they've accomplished it, and now they have the right to tell everybody else how to do what they have done.
Right.
Which there could be some truth to it, but there can also be a bunch of lies that are connected to it.
Yeah.
And you haven't really seen the whole outcome of it to the end, right? A lot of people, that you don't see like how it's going to actually play out until the end of their life, or maybe into the next generation, right? What people have done and what they find they think they're doing. Like, look at communism, and you know, you had Lenin, and he left it to Stalin,
right?
And then it became, you know,
Stalin took that and interpreted it his own way,
right?
Which all came from Karl Marx. Both of them took their ideas from Karl Marx,
right? So you have that you don't know where it's going to lead,
right?
It might take generations, and you can build something and think it's good in a generation, but then it really will fall down a few generations later, you know, because it can't stand the test of time. That's what truth does. Real truth stands the test of time, and it's built on a sure foundation. And that's what, you know, we believe the Bible does.
Right.
It sets us on a sure foundation through interpretation, through God, through the Holy Spirit.
Right. So the concept of progress and progressivism is not what is bad. It's when there's no root or foundation in something to progress
right. So what we're talking about, words, right? So progressive, to be a progressive, and when you hear that now, like you hear somebody say, oh yeah, I'm progressive, what are you, and if you automatically think what that means is there that thing that's connected to that in politics, right? You're already destroyed in terms of how you see words.
You're under a spell.
You
already.
And we have to break that.
Right.
So what do? We go to the root. So what does progressive mean?
To progress. It's the root word is progress.
Right.
Pro. What is the root word? Pro.
I don't know.
Doesn't that mean like?
I know what pro means, but I don't know exactly.
Pro is like to go forward, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because regress is to go backwards, right?
Right.
Right. Progress is to
go forward. So let's look up what the different meanings of progress.
Yeah. Pro means forward.
There you go.
But can also mean for.
Right.
Or it can mean you're good at something.
You're a pro, bro.
But that's professional, right? Pro is short for professional.
Yeah.
So,
This topic made me think of Assassin's Creed.
Why? Because of
Assassin's Creed?
The Age of Enlightenment, and then passing generations, because it's going through generations. But they're all like the Templars. They're all
Yeah.
Like Ben Franklin was a Templar in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some stuff connected to that. There's like a little...
Yeah, they wove those storylines into that game. But yeah, again, what were the flags on the Nina Pinta Santa Maria? Templar flags.
Yeah, Knights.
You know what I mean? Those were Templar
about
flags.
that.
Yeah. You see those stories when you're kids, you see the imagery and,
Yes, I see it in my...
I left a link to progress in there if you want to pull it up, just so we can see like...
What the definition is?
Here's the definition.
Okay, cool.
Rachel got it.
Rachel's on it.
You want to read that for us?
Forward or onward movement towards a destination. Move forward or onward in space and time.
So when you look at, there's a lot of, there was a bunch of organizations on that website that was like onward democracy, onward America, moveon.org, like all of these things.
And to advance.
Right, to advance.
So that's why they say like science advancements, you
Right.
know. But again, science is it's about theories, right?
Mhm.
And even now you have, the theory of evolution.
Yeah.
It's a theory. It's
Right.
not a fact.
Right.
But yet everybody thinks it's a fact.
Right.
So, and then people will say like, well, you don't believe science. It's not science.
Right.
Like it's in terms of it hasn't been proven.
And the thing is, science is not something to believe. Science is a thing that's ongoing. It's
Yeah.
never ending. It's
Keeps progressing.
Right. It's observable experimentation.
It's observable,
and-
but
yeah.
it has to be interpreted.
Right.
Right. And that's the problem. Like people don't understand. You got to interpret a thing.
Right.
You don't know. You got to understand the meaning behind the things.
But that's why they create these terms. These terms are literally created to control you. Trust the science.
To keep you from knowing the meaning.
Right.
And give you a meaning to
Right,
something.
right.
Right. So that you won't look for it yourself. So, okay, yeah. Progress. What does it mean to move forward, to proceed, to develop to a higher, better, or more advanced stage?
Mhm.
Right. So these are good things.
Right.
But it's got to be done. If you try to do that yourself and you have no understanding of how to do it, if you're a child and you think, okay, I'm going to do this, you look at a lot of young people, I'm going to change the world.
Yeah.
But then they realize there's a lot of barriers to doing that.
It's not easy.
And even their perspective of how to change it might not be exactly right.
Right.
But you gotta submit yourself to somebody. But a lot of people are rebellious and they think this is wrong, that's
Right,
wrong.
right.
But they don't understand why it's wrong. They don't know the root causes behind these things.
Mhm.
There's a lot of more development that has to go on. But people just want to progress things based off of the way they see it,
Right.
and they view it, and that's enlightenment.
And a lot of times the way they see it is not even their own. It's like you said, your experience becomes your mechanism for interpreting what progress is.
Right.
Right. But if your experience is being handed to you,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Subliminally all your life, you don't really know what that experience is.
Right.
You're being shown an experience.
When you're watching TV all the time,
Right,
right.
right.
Like when they say, TV raised me.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot in like urban
Right.
culture
Or the streets raised me.
Yeah, the streets raised me.
Right.
Like that's not a good thing.
Right.
Because now your experience is through the streets. Now you're gonna move that way. you
Right.
know, that's a problem.
Somebody just came in.
Oh.
I'm like, who is that?
So conservative. We're talking about progressive, conservatism.
Mhm.
Can you bring that up? It's funny because it's not that much to it, because it's just about like keeping the same values that America was founded upon.
I don't think there's always been a definition of conservative. I think they changed this. I'm on Google.
What does it say on Google?
On Google, it says averse to change or innovation and holding traditional values.
Yeah. Merriam-Webster has a little bit different idea.
You have that? What do they say?
Conservative is of or relating to a philosophy of conservatism. Well, that's not a great definition. This is the one you put up?
I put up the Wikipedia one, which is what I was talking about.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It was like underneath the progressive stuff from Wikipedia. But yeah, it has to do with a lot of American values, which, again, that's based off of interpretation too. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So
I
for
see.
instance, though, so like I went like to another like definition, right? That says this is like what I would have said, but favoring traditional views and values, traditional or restrained in style, moderate, cautious. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different framing of what you're talking about.
Right.
Here's the Wikipedia one. I found it. So conservatism in the United States is a political and social philosophy characterized by respect for American traditions, republicanism, limited government, support for Christian values, moral universalism, pro-business, opposition to trade unions, strong national defense, free trade, protectionism, anti-communism, rugged individualism, advocacy for American exceptionalism, and a defense of tradition and Western culture from the perceived threats posed by communism, socialism, and moral relativism.
Cool.
That sounds a little way more in depth.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you think about it, it's about keeping what we've been founded upon.
Right.
Right. And again, you can go off track.
Right.
And, you know,
because what if you've been founded upon some messed up stuff? Like, because think about it, like slavery did exist when this country was founded, right?
Right.
So if you if you say I'm conservative, I want to hold on to that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. But it's about what the Constitution, what America, that's why it says biblical, you know, values, moral values. All those morals come from Judeo-Christian values.
When you was talking about it before we went live, I just automatically thought of the Bible, of how, you know, the Jews, and when Jesus came,
right,
they didn't
believe him. Right. That's why a lot of progressives say that Jesus was the first progressive.
Yeah.
You know, they use that.
Which is not wrong,
untrue.
but that's not that kind of progressive.
Right.
You know,
not in the way they're using it. Right?
So what does it mean to conserve? Can we look that up? Just, you know, get an idea of where these words come from. I think I put that in there, the last thing.
To conserve.
Well, here, if you want it from Oxford Languages.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, put it up. So protect something, especially an environmentally or culturally important place or thing from harm or destruction. Prevent the wasteful or harmful overuse of a resource.
Right. Okay, I'll read this one. This one's from Merriam. To keep in safe or sound state, to avoid wasteful or destructive use of, to preserve with sugar, to maintain a quantity or constant during process of chemical, physical, or evolutionary change, to maintain, to preserve, to keep safe from harm, destruction, protect, to maintain, to keep or save from decomposition, to keep or reserve for personal or special use, to raise and protect game from purpose of sport. So preserve stood out to me. Maintain stood out to me. Protect, right, stood out to me.
To keep in a safe or sound state. Yeah.
To keep in a safe or sound state. And these things,
and I really like prevent wasteful or harmful overuse of resources.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
time is a resource. Your energy is a resource. What you
money,
your whole life around, you know, like,
right.
Yeah. And it's really like, I was thinking about like mishandling things.
Right.
Like if you're given something before you have the understanding how to use it, you're going to mishandle it.
Right.
You can't handle it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's about to conserve has to do with a father. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, to me, it looks like the man of the house who conserves, and the son or the children can't receive it yet. He's got to conserve it because it's for their good. He also protects them. He also keeps them safe, right? But at the same time, he might do it out of the wrong measure of understanding himself.
Right.
So when things get in the foundation that the house of the Father is laid upon,
right.
When things are built that shouldn't be built upon that foundation, right?
Right.
The foundation
that's
is good.
The boomer dad that never wants his child to ever feel what he felt after the Depression.
That's the slavery that came in,
right?
Right. It doesn't mean the foundation's off. It means what you built upon the foundation is off,
right?
Right. And that's the thing. Like people, you can't destroy the foundation. You can't throw the baby out with the bath. You can't think you can destroy everything. You know, you might have to rebuild some things. You might have, this was built wrong, so we got to take that down.
Right.
But the foundation wasn't built wrong. And progression or progressive, to be progressive is to build upon the foundation, right? And the foundation was laid by a father. And from a biblical perspective, it was laid by the Father in heaven.
Right.
You know, so when you look at that, it all points back to the Father in heaven through the Son. You know, that's why Jesus was progressive, because he progressed what God did,
right,
you know, in earth. And we are continuing in that. So it's funny how like the world is always going to try to polarize things, progressive, conservative, but they really work together when you get to the core of things, and you need both.
It's like there's always a division point to start the mass division, right?
Right.
So there has to be one division point that then, because if you look at progressives, then they're divided in so many ways. Conservatives, they divide them up in so many ways.
Yep.
You got the neocons and the super liberal conservatives, or the libertarians. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's why like you have like somebody like AOC, right? She has no respect for like Nancy Pelosi, right? Because it's built off of disrespect. It's built off of, I have the answers that you didn't have.
Right.
You didn't get this. This is my turn now. This is our time now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
we're moving you old people out the way.
Yeah. And sometimes like something that I feel like God was showing me was that a lot of times with our kids, when we see our kids act out in disobedience, it's a marker for us to pay attention, because it's a place where we're lacking.
Right.
Right. Where we can be too conservative and too traditional to where we got to pay attention, where what we're doing isn't working.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have to progress too. And if we're stuck in our traditions and just because traditions, if you look at Jesus, he was gone. He literally said, you make the word of God of no effect through the traditions of man.
Right.
So you're taking what you think the word of God does, and you're making it of no effect in your lives and the lives of others, because you think you already know. It's pride, right? So when a father has too much pride and he says, no, it's this way, and the son's like, but dad, I see this, this, and this. Now there's a disconnect between the father and the son.
Right.
So now when the father rebels, when the son rebels from the father, why? Because the father lacked in love to connect with the son and where he was disconnected. I don't get this, you know?
Right.
And I think that happens a lot with our society. It's happened. We've seen it a lot from in our generation, growing up in the, you know, the cusp of technology, computers, you know, internet, video games, all that stuff happened in the 80s. Like it really gained ground in the 80s when we were growing up.
I was just talking to a musician who was here last night, and we were talking about the idea of how like a lot of these older audio engineers are like, they refuse to move into the technology realm of things because to them it's just like, no, you have to do everything analog, everything on tape, everything, you know what I mean? And they don't realize that they're working themselves out of the industry.
Right.
They're working themselves out of a job, and they're giving themselves more work just because they feel attached to that. You know what I mean? And they don't want to let go of it, of that idea, you know.
And that's what happened with like the Pharisee. They felt attached to those traditions.
Right.
So that it makes you blind.
Right.
When something is coming that's changing. You can't learn. It's so funny, dude. Like I was doing a lesson and a vocal lesson and just going through the cycle of fifths. And like, if you don't, you know how you go through the cycle of fifths, it changes the key, right? So 5 notes up, right? So you gain, like if you just start at the beginning, you gain a sharp, right? It's the same thing. You're just gaining a sharp. That's a change that you have to go through. But if you don't see the expression, like, because 5 is like the expression of God, right? So you're going through one change. Now you got to shift, you know, and you can even look at it like there's 12 months to a year.
Right.
Every month is a different shift, right? If you don't see the shift, you can't move with it.
Right.
You might, and if you go too fast, you're not, like when people, I notice this with people, when they can't get something because they want to get it, but they don't have it.
Right.
So they can't learn because they're trying to get what they don't have and go too fast. And it's like, you need to calm down, wait, and just play one
Focus
note,
in on one thing.
play another one, and then you can hear it.
Right.
And then you can experience it for you and experience the sound. Now you can flow in that sound.
Now,
but
how does that?
Then you can do Mariah whistle notes.
Yeah. All right, but now the reverse way of that is the cycle of fourths. So give me the jewels on that. Cycle of fourths, you gain a flat every time.
Yeah. That's backwards though. If you,
but no, that is the cycle.
Well, it's backwards.
Yeah, it's counterclockwise. It's counter.
I mean, you could look at it as you're going through a new door. You know, like four is door. You're going through a new door. Well, cycle of fifths, you're going through one cycle, you gain and then you lose, right? So cycle of fourths, you gain and then you lose, but you're going the opposite way,
right?
But it doesn't have to do with expression. It has to do. I don't know, I have to think about that, dude.
Yeah,
I
just wanted to throw that out
but
there.
that's interesting. I got to think about that.
Yeah, because you can do the cycle of fifths is only one perspective on the cycle. There's the fourths and the fifths. And,
right. But it all has to do with the keys and how you move.
Right.
Right. And it's about the movement. And I think that's the thing, like getting into the flow of something. And and this is like, you know, a lot of people aren't going to understand this. But the reason why I'm saying it is because as a younger person, I know for me, like, I wanted to just do something. And the frustration was that I wasn't able to do it. So then a lot of people give up.
So let's bring that back to what we're talking about and the idea of the foundation as opposed to like conservatism, progressivism, but someone who doesn't want to change based off of opposed to someone who is trying to push something forward. So we experienced that very same thing with what you're talking about with how we work with our dad in music at the beginning, right?
Right, yeah.
Because he was staunched on like holding true to these traditions and the way it's done and the way you learn music and the way you do things, which some of that foundationally was on point, and it was what we needed. Like he taught us how to sing in every key. We have to go through all the cycles, every practice. We did the fourths and the fifths, and then you know, the key changes, and we did all the modes, you know what I mean? So there's certain principles that exist whether or not you want to be a conservative or like it exists. You need to have that foundation there in order to advance it further properly.
Right. And that's where, like, I know for me, with my dad, I didn't want to listen, but I respected and honored him. And like what she read about it's respect, right, for the values.
Right.
So if you don't have honor, and it's funny, what does it say? Honor your mother and your father, right? And you'll have long life. So why do you have to honor your mother and your father? Because if you don't respect what the house was built upon, the house falls apart. It crumbles.
So real quick, a couple comments. Angelica Howell said, that is so true what you are saying. Thank you. Which part, though? Paul Horner said, conservatism is about being the salt in a decaying world.
Yeah, because salt conserves.
Right.
But it's got to be salt that has seasoning.
Right.
See, that's where the progression has to happen. Because if you don't have any seasoning because you fall into the traditions of men that doesn't do anything for you, lost your seasoning.
Yeah.
You know, now you got no seasoning. Now you're good for nothing.
Right. Salt has no effect now. Right. Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. So you have to honor, so that the generation that comes before has to honor. But the reason why they don't honor is because a lot of parents, especially our generation of parents, has taught the kids, has tried to control kids, or not control them, but like give them whatever they wanted to make them feel good about themselves because of fear.
They've used pacification.
Right.
If that's a word. Is that a word? Pacification?
Sounds like a word.
The operation of pacifying.
Paul Horner said circle of fists and cycle of fourth, same concept, just going in different directions.
Right.
Yeah.
But they all meet back.
There's something to the cycle of fourths, though.
It's a word to attempt to create or maintain peace.
Okay, cool. So like that idea of I just don't want to hear them cry. I don't want to hear them whine. I just want to pacify my kids. Pacification creates children that don't respect you.
That reminds me of that horrible movie and that robot boy.
Right.
You know
right. What was the name of that movie again?
Artificial Intelligence?
No.
Something with a V.
Vivarium? Vivarium. You ever see that movie?
Vivarium?
Never seen that.
Vivarium. You ever see that movie? Vivarium?
No.
Yeah, that movie is super weird and dark.
When did that come out?
I don't remember, like last year probably. But it's like she's saying. It's the idea of these people end up in this house with this kid that they have to raise, and like the one guy, the dad wants to like he wants to kill this kid, and the mom like ends up wanting to pacify the kid, but then the kid ends up killing both of them. It's a weird movie, man. It's a weird movie.
Pacify, snowplow.
Yeah.
There's something in Hebrews 4:11. It says, "Let us therefore be diligent," or commit ourselves speedily to enter into that rest. It's the rest of God, right? In his house. And you think about like even a house, like when you're a son in a house, you can rest because you don't have to worry about anything. But when you're always in contention against the father, eventually you got to get kicked out the house because it's not going to work. You can't stay in the house, right? But so it says, let us therefore be diligent speedily to enter into that rest. And when they're talking about that rest, it's the rest that before they couldn't enter into, but through Jesus we were able to enter into it. And it says, lest anyone fall according to the same example of disobedience. So it's the disobedience that keeps us from resting. We become anxious because we don't understand.
And rebellious.
Right. And that rebellion is the thing that we're seeing now.
Right.
You're seeing a lot of people rebellious, disobedient. And the thing is, like, then I was like, in 5:11, because it kind of goes through, like this thread goes through Hebrews 4, Hebrews 5, not 5:11, but Hebrews 5. And it says, in 5:7, it says, in the days of his flesh, Jesus, he offered up prayer and supplication. And in that is even like a humbling. Like, I'm dealing with this weakness that I feel right now. I need help.
Right.
You know, as a son, as a kid, I need help. With a loud cry and tears to him who is able to save him from death. And he was heard because of his reverence. And reverence has to do with fear of God, or it's about honoring God, right? So he was heard because he humbled himself to his Father. So then he was heard. And then there's another part a little bit further down where it says, for everyone who partakes, because he was talking to in Hebrews, he's talking to these people, right? And he says to them that you should be teaching, but you're not able to teach, right? And to teach, think about it. To be a teacher, you had to go through the process of learning so
first,
that you have that, and then you can give it back, right? So if you haven't gone through that process, then you're unskilled, right? So then it says, for everyone who partake in only milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness. And what is righteousness means approval, right? So even like in terms of a son and a father, you're not approved. You don't realize what he's conserved for you, but he has it for you. But because you're anxious and you want to go out there and do it for yourself,
prove yourself,
you leave the house, right? So you never learn that inheritance of what he has for you. You know, so now you're going out there and you're going to try to do it in the world. And now you feel like you have to prove yourself. You need approval, right? So you can show him, you know, it's straight up rebellion. That you're doing in the world. So now and it's a false righteousness. And now what are we looking at in the world now? Everybody's raising up talking about justice, you know? Righteousness, justice.
And now everyone is making moves and everyone is doing things in the act of proving themselves to the haters or the dissenters. You know what I mean? Like, it's everything that I do is just to prove myself right. You know what I'm saying?
And even with like, when you look at Christians, right? The reason why like people are so like, well, they're hypocrites, they're this, they're that, because they haven't gained anything. You read something and then you think you know, but you still got to go through the process, right? You're saved through grace, but you're only saved in terms of your spirit, but your mind is still messed up. Like, your mind don't change once you get saved. You're still the same person, right? So you got to go through the process, and that's humbling. Every day you got to humble yourself, right? Because you don't know. So you're a babe, you're a child. That's why you're born again. You're born again into the world new because you don't know anything. And that's actually like freeing you of the burden so that you can say, okay, I don't know. God, show me. You know, Father, show me. Through who? Through Jesus, the Son who did it. So there's another interpretation of Hebrews 5:13. It says, for someone who lives on milk is still an infant and does not know or is not able to know how to do what is right. So it's like, it's so basic. A kid doesn't know. Why are you trying to know what you don't need to know? And just allow me to show you, you know? And so many people are out here, they have to prove themselves. Why? Because they feel rejected, right? Because that's the world we live in. The world wants you to feel rejected. So you have all these people, like all of these different activist things.
Organizations.
It's a bunch of people that feel rejected and they're trying to prove themselves accepted. And there's no way you can do that.
They're using everyone else's rejection to get you to buy in, to get you to donate, to get you to get out there and be active on their behalf, because a lot of them are just setting up these organizations and then telling you to go do it. You know what I mean? And you're being used. Real quick, Paul said conservatism and progressivism should ideally work together. You got to be dynamic, but built on a solid foundation, like the lively stones that Peter speaks on.
Yeah.
You were just talking about this on Sunday about the word that becomes a stone in your mouth. You know what I mean? Speak on that a little bit, because that goes to that.
Well, we were talking about Plymouth Rock earlier, and that was something that, you know, I believe that everything that happens, like, it's like we were taught, cycle of fifth. There's cycles that happen, and 400 is a cycle, and it has to do with being set free.
It's like
Hey, yeah, because it breaks down to 400.
Right.
It's a door. It's what is it? A door is an opportunity. So I think what the Puritans did, and you think about even them as being pure, I mean, calling themselves Puritans, they went from a place called Plymouth, right, which stems from Plym means plum, which means precious, and then mouth, it was the Plym River. So out of the river of our mouths flows the rock, because they went to Plymouth Rock. And it's the pure in heart that will speak out of their mouth precious things, which is the rock.
Right.
And the rock can be a stumbling block, but it also can be a foundation.
Right.
So it's there to stumble you so that you can humble yourself and be set on his foundation.
Right.
Right. And so
that's why things are not black or white.
No.
That people they always try to prop up this idea of like, no, it's either this or that.
Yeah.
You know
they
what
want
I mean?
you.
It's that binary.
And it is in a
spell.
way, but we don't know ourselves.
Right.
We're complicated, you know, and we have to be known. We have to know ourselves. But how we got to know ourselves from the one who created us.
Right.
You know, so God teaches us who we are as we humble ourselves. And then we're not so complicated anymore. Then we know how we work, and we start to process things. Like the soul is the processing center.
Yeah.
But you got to humble yourself in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the heart, like Jesus says, out of the heart the mouth speaks. So you're going to speak a bunch of rejection out of your heart if you feel rejected.
Right.
But once you realize you're accepted in him and you let him in, it says it. Paul talks about the eyes of your heart understand, right?
Yeah.
So you start to understand. Where does understanding come in? It comes in through your heart. But then you got to process that understanding through the soul.
Yeah.
Just because you see something doesn't mean it's become part of you. You got to process it, because once you receive like a revelation or an understanding of something, now the whole world wants, the things of the world and everything in the world wants you to reject what you saw because of the world.
Right.
So if you feel rejected, you're going to reject it eventually, right?
And then you can easily be brought into another person.
Some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like you could easily be drawn into another idea or another.
Right.
You settle activism.
Right. And that's where your foundation gets off. So you humble yourself, you receive, but then you try to take that. That's where faith goes, right? Because you don't like. There's sons of God, but then there's servants of God. You're a servant until faith has accomplished its work, right? So you got to go through faith, right? Until, why are we going through faith? Because we don't really believe, and our faith without works is dead. So we're working out our salvation literally through faith until it becomes established and it becomes a part of us. Now that's the mind of Christ. So now that's the thing that whatever happens in this world can't penetrate. It's been set on a sure foundation, but a lot of people, like Christians, they don't get there because you see things, but it doesn't manifest because we don't know how to process it in our souls.
Right.
You know, because that's the place. What is the soul? It's the heart. It's the soil, right? So that's the place where you sow a seed, but it won't grow because something comes and snatches it, or some weeds get planted, you know, choke it out, like it said, like Jesus said.
Built on stony ground.
Stony ground, thrown on stony ground because you're hard.
Or Monsanto patents it and tells you that it's theirs.
Yeah, but you.
Real quick though, I gotta read this comment. Paul said that salt gotta have some flavor, like adobo.
Yeah,
good,
that was a shout out to adobo trying to get canceled.
Duran said, "What's up?" By the way,
Ron, what Ron?
Duran.
What's up, Duran?
What's up, Duran? What's up, brother? Long time no talk to. I remember back during the 2016 election was like the first time that I really started actively paying attention to the spell of the political system and the parties. And I remember like one time I was like, why is it so divided? And God said to me, like, left wing and right wing are both on the same bird. You know what I mean? And it's like this idea that like, if I'm left wing, I'm right wing, but you
still gotta make that bird fly.
That bird can't fly, like because both.
And a house divided can't stand.
Right. Because to be honest with you, like there's parts of the Democratic Party that make a lot of sense. There's parts of the Republican Party that make a lot of sense. But then it gets totally hijacked by all of this greed, all of this corruption, all of this, the political system being so fraught with like, just funding and lobbyists and all this stuff that just corrupts it. You know what I mean?
It complicates it.
Right.
Right. And that's what you see, because it's strategies. Strategies. How can we fulfill the desires of our hearts?
Right.
Right. We got to strategize. So people come together. They do think tanks and all these things to.
Think tanks came from Edward Bernays.
Really?
Yeah. I talked about that last week. Yeah. He developed that whole idea based off of psychiatry, based off of Sigmund Freud, because he used to do these psychological group talks where he would do these group therapy sessions and talk to people and get like their ideas on things. So Edward Bernays adopted that into the corporate, strategy of like bringing in people and doing these focus groups. You know what I mean? So the think tank thing is all based off of him.
Right. And in one way, it's not bad because you do need counsel, right? But you need the right counsel,
right?
People, so like we were in the music industry. We
were in the music industry.
Well, I'm sorry. When I say is when we were like actively ensuing,
right. No, I get what you mean.
I remember being in meetings with major labels and them telling us how.
Yeah.
The machine, I should say.
Right.
I remember the meetings of us. People trying to convince us how we need to focus on the 13-year-olds and how we need to appeal
Those are the ones buying
to the
records.
12 and 13-year-olds.
Low-key, what kind of subconscious weirdo crap is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's from a business standpoint, fine, okay, but now you go take your whole thing and your whole music and your whole vibe and you market to 13-year-olds? That's what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. I never even thought about that before, because that's always what it is. Get the kids.
Yeah.
Well, why, though?
Yeah.
Like, why am I worried about them so much as an artist day and night now? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Right.
It's really crazy. But this is the way they think. And they, like, the people who we're talking to, all they care about is money.
Right.
They're just like, actually, they really just care about keeping their job because, especially in the music industry, like, people are there and then they're at a different label. Like, they switch labels so quick. Like, all these A&Rs, yeah. Because, like...
Yeah, remember that right there? That came up in my Facebook feed 2 days ago.
Oh.
You remember?
Well, that's Pete, right? Simone.
That's
so
you. That's you next to Pete. But remember where that was? That was in Def Jam.
Def Jam?
That was at Def Jam, yeah.
Wait, that's Simone in the side?
That's Simone right there.
It looked like his chin was coming out like a pharaoh.
That's called old iPhone probably 3 technology right there.
Yeah, I interrupted you, Jake. You were talking about being in the machine and them telling you to rework your thing and focus on the kids.
Yeah, and that just brought me to that picture just came up. Because that was the time when we were going to all these labels. And
yeah, but so we're in the council of people who are telling us to be counseled by kids. Pay attention to what the kids like.
Yeah.
That's backwards.
Because that's what TikTok is, though.
Right. But it's so... And I know, like, on a grander scale, like, people are focusing on, like, the elites probably can see more into that. But I know the people who are talking to us that are on that A&R or even heads of A&R scale, which we talk to a lot of times, they're just focused on money. They're just focused on what they think is going to sell.
Yeah.
So their mindset is even for that. So they're really they're really backwards in terms of they just think, we need to be looking at what kids want.
Yeah.
And that's so backwards.
Just copying off of whatever works at the time.
And it's literally like you're feeding rebellion. You're feeding rebellion. You're telling the kids not to listen to their parents. And you see that with Disney, with, a lot of Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
They tell you, they like all the shows, like they have the subliminal, like
hip hop classics, like Parents Just Don't Understand.
Yeah, didn't we were talking about that earlier?
Yeah, yesterday we talked about that.
We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, and the movies.
Yeah, I was talking about Ferris Bueller. Like the concept of that movie is that like all the adults are idiots.
Yeah,
and he's like the king.
Cutting class.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Stuff like that.
So sick of being fed like crap and more crap, because even that is like falls under a hip hop classic that you would say is like good, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's positive, not cussing all the time, not
Right.
talking about guns and crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like all this crazy stuff, but like it's still feeding a concept that's a real bad concept.
Yeah.
Like, that can destroy stuff. So like that's not good.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for that.
Yeah.
But Paul said, "Man, y'all look serious, like y'all meeting with the Godfather in that photo."
You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like when we were going to those meetings, a lot of times we were in a headspace where it was like we weren't excited to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we knew what it was. It was like it was like being on the stage at MTV right after you perform and you know the judges are about to judge you. You know what I mean? Like it didn't go so bad for us on MTV, but it's just that place of like, all right, now we have to come in here and you're gonna have to like pick us apart in every way that you can.
We already knew it was gonna happen, so it's like, okay, let's be ready for this. We almost get you get jaded a little bit.
Yeah.
And of the process. Because it's like just being abused, over and over again, and it becomes like that's just the way of life,
right? And it's like a woman who wants to be loved, and all these dudes keep telling her like, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and it's like
and she's like, I'm not gonna do that.
No, but
you need to wear this revealing
right,
stuff and
right.
high heels, and
you need to give it up on the first date, like that's the only way. And it's like if you're not willing to compromise on those things, then you don't deserve love. Like you have to be able to mentally make it through that without being traumatized,
Exactly what me and the homegirl were talking about when she came over.
Yeah.
Like, so do I have to like do whatever to be successful? Like,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You can be successful by your own regard.
But everybody who's successful that they're propping up makes you think you do.
Right.
You got Cardi B, you're looking at your examples, and well, maybe I need to and that's what happens little by little. You start the values that you held, right? They start to go away because of your desires.
Right. So you consent to all of these things in little ways. You make these deals with the devil in all of these little ways. And you constantly,
little by little.
And that contract just keeps gaining more ground and more ground and more ground as you give yourself over to it.
Paul said that's because y'all the truth.
Thanks, Paul.
The truth live in us.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was that, because we would hear all the time, like, I'm not getting the read on y'all. Like I can't, right?
Yeah.
We can't really get a reaction out of you.
We're
like,
not desperate.
Yeah,
Desperate.
Right. Or we ain't hype. We ain't in here like, wow, this is Def Jam. Like we never did that.
But in a happy way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like taking pictures.
But at the same time, we wanted we wouldn't have been at those meetings if we didn't want something to happen. Like
we wanted it, yeah.
Yeah. But so even in that, we had to learn obedience. We had to learn we're going for something that we desire, and it wasn't the way. The way we were going, it wasn't the way. And guys, you want to keep on going down that road.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn today. You're
Yeah.
gonna learn. Eventually, you're gonna learn. And it was we had to learn obedience. Stop thinking it's going to come the way it came for everybody else,
Yeah, and I think a lot of reason why we were blessed to learn that as well is because we did get, like we were talking about last week, we did get into a lot of those rooms. We did get a peek behind the curtain when it came to a lot of these artists that we came up listening to and thinking that's what we want to be. Mm-hmm. And then when we finally get around it and see it and we see what it is, it's it's not what we want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think slowly that started to get deprogrammed from us slowly. I mean, and still to this day, it's it's not we're just this we get it all now. It's like it's a slow, like you said, dying daily, humbling ourselves daily to understand like all of the ways that we had sold ourselves out, or the ideas of what we wanted, our desires, like how our desires have been flawed and diseased, like it says in Burnt, or who am I?
Who am I?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you die, you start to set yourself back on that foundation.
Right.
More and more every time, but it's a daily thing.
I was thinking about this the other day. Find My Way talks about that in the second verse. In a world that doesn't care, you try to find your purpose while you're here, but sometimes you get caught up in your dreams, but what you want is never what it seems. Like when you are trying to work for something and you feel like you have a grasp of a purpose, then all of a sudden, like this idea of your dreams comes in, and it's like it can swoop you in another direction if you don't realize that this is a false illusion.
You can settle for this consolation.
Right.
That consolation prize.
Because even those dreams that you have as a dream, it's been implanted there by some wizard, you know what I mean, somewhere that makes you believe that this is what you want.
Yeah. It could be a simple thing like, I want to be married.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, you got who's the right person for you. And as you humble yourself to that, like if you're anxious in getting married, you're going to probably marry the wrong person.
Yeah.
But when you're humble and you're set, and you not just humble, but you learn to be humble. Because if your desire, like that's why I believe, like when it says God gives you the desires of your heart, yeah, but those desires have to be purified.
Warnita just commented, that's my favorite song. That song was sent from Zion.
Talking about Find My Way.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Thank you, Warnita.
What's up?
Now, what was you just saying?
I don't know. You just pointed at me like,
no, I was just, go ahead, continue.
What was I saying? Oh, the what God says about the desires of your heart. We think that we know, but we got to go through the process of being undiseased, cleansed from the disease that has crept into us. So we're like, I don't understand why these things ain't happening. God, you told me, because God speaks to us and he tells us things prophetically, but then we're like, why isn't it happening? And it's because we have to humble ourselves. We have to continually humble ourselves. We have to become servants. A servant doesn't know. A servant is on the outside. You don't know the intimacy of who God is or even who you are.
Right.
But it's as a servant serves in faith, what are you serving from? You have to pay a debt that you owe, right? And as that debt becomes paid off in faith, you're coming into sonship. Now you're set free. Now you know who you are. Now you're given that inheritance of the Father, and that's the place where you can stand in that purification of who you are, and then he can put his glory on you. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So then you're like, you're not dealing with the wrestling, in yourself of who you are, the double-mindedness of who you are. Well, I don't understand why this is happening. That's the frustration, even like being a kid, like you don't know.
Right.
So shut up.
Right.
Sometimes you got to tell your kids, shut up.
Yeah.
You don't
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They keep on telling you, talking. All right, I'm going to give you, even like if they want something, like I'll give it to you. Stop bothering me.
Right. You're not going to get it because you're bothering me.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. All right, cool. Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap it up? You got to pee? I was going to say if we wanted to do another song real quick.
I mean, if you want to, we could do another song.
I know you got to go to the bathroom.
We can do a song.
You want to? Do a little Find My Way? Yeah. What do you think about that?
Can you play it?
I think I can. We'll do a little bit. Since Juanita was saying that that's her song and she's watching right now. me make sure I remember all the chords. What's the bridge? I'm like trying to make sure I remember the bridge. Okay. Okay.
Look at that face.
Okay, I got it. All right, ready.
There is another part of me that I never let anybody see, 'cause I'm always trying to be what they want, keep them loving me. So I find this life of mine, I can't truly be everything I am, so I just pretend to go on about my day like everything's okay. Before it's too late, I'm gonna find my way. Yeah, find my way. Whoa.
In a world that doesn't care, you try to find your purpose while you're here, but somehow you get caught up in your dreams. What they want is never what it seems. So I find that in this life of mine, I'm gonna have to be everything I am. I cannot pretend to go on about my day like everything's okay. Before it's too late, I'm gonna find my way. Gonna find my way. Yeah. Bridge.
When we're lost in ourselves, how can you tell which way you're going? It's so easy to be like everyone we see, caught up in the moments. Tell me, when will we try and live our lives to find our way? Yeah. Gonna find my way. Gonna find my way. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Oh. Gonna find. Yeah. Gonna find my way.
All right, cool.
Juanita said, thanks, brothers.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank everybody for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. We will be back next Tuesday. In the meantime, you can go to jatan.com and hear our new music that just came out not too long ago. Where do we go? Also, patreon.com/YoungLionTV if you want to subscribe and become a member there and support this broadcast, supports what we're doing here. Also, what else? Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next week.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah. Go and fight people.